Thank you very much. A round of applause to Bill. That was Bill Clayman, Chief Executive Officer, Apollo.US, and Executive Chair, Data Center Programs in Forma. And that was our keynote address talking about building a digital Africa and connectivities, collaborations, convergence, which also doubles as the theme for today. Great to have Bill back again. He was here last year as a keynote speaker as well. So we have more people joining us. For those joining us, great to have you with us. And we are ready for our first panel session for today. And this will be talking about data center and cloud in Africa. And there are a couple of, there are key trends and highlights for the non-tech people. There have been a lot of improvements. I know for sure. For example, there's a lot of investment in data centers in Africa, in Lagos especially. I know there's been some humongous amounts being mentioned, being used to build data center. But over the past years, there has been a marked increase in data center investments. Since 2022, for example, at least 25 new carrier-neutral data centers have come into service. And there's also major cloud providers that are beginning to look our way. Most of the things we do are outsourced, but now we're bringing it home, which of course is improving the quality of service that we offer. And in terms of the industry, it's also scaling up, which speaks to one of the major aspects of the theme for today, which is collaboration and convergence. I will quickly go through our panelists this morning, and they will be here to thrash out our first session for the day, Data Center and Cloud in Africa, the journey to 2,500 megawatts. We have, in no particular order, they're being mic'd, so I'll just call their names so we can recognize them as they come up on stage. The Chief Executive Officer, Cassie Cloud, in the person of Johnson Agogboa. We also have the General Manager, Infrastructure and Cloud Engineering, MT Nigeria. I mentioned him earlier on. That's Roger Shute. We have also the Chief Executive Officer, IX Africa Data Center, in the person of Snehar Saha. We also have the Head of IP Business, Northwest and Central Africa, Nokia, in the person of Karim Amer. And last but not the least, the Managing Director, Digital Reality Nigeria, Ikechukwu Namani. They will be our panelists this morning, so please do give them a round of applause as they make their way. So let's show them some HCA love, as this is their first session this morning. And to moderate this event, we have the Managing Partner, XLM Analytics, in the person of Guy Zibi. And I'll be handing over, yes, you can clap for him as well. I'll be handing over to Guy to take over this morning.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. My name is Guy Zibi. I'm the managing partner with XLM Analytics, and it will be my privilege to moderate this very august panel. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, XLM Analytics is an investment research firm focused on digital infrastructure, cloud, and AI in emerging markets. So in essence, what we do is we provide a lot of the insights and the data and the financial analysis that goes into supporting investment in digital infrastructure in emerging markets. So I'm quite happy to be here in really Lagos. I find it quite timely for me to be here, I think, because just a few weeks back, with the team, we were examining some global forecast of GPU demand and global forecast of data center consumption. And we have our own and kind of running some benchmarkings and comparisons. So if you look globally over the next 5 years, there are various sets of projections. But the projections of consumption, data center consumption, generally top out at 200 to 250 gigawatt of data center consumption around the world, depending on the assumptions. And we realized that if you assume that only around 0.5% of that 2030 target is going to be in Africa, this region is going to need to add around 1 to 1.5 gigawatts of new high density kind of capacity over the next 5 years. Now, you can run different set of estimates, but the bottom line is that there's a substantial amount of capacity that's going to need to be added. So that's a lot of capacity. Obviously, you ask yourself, and we ask ourselves, who is going to do it? Where's the financing, going to come from? What is the demand for that capacity? What are the AI and other types of kind of cloud workloads that use cases that are going to be needed to monetize and kind of generate the revenue base for these business models to work? And what are the paths really to make sure that Africa can scale its way, its compute capability, and really stay into what is pretty much now a global race? So I have to say that I do not have a lot of the answers to this question, but I'm lucky, and I think we all are lucky to have here on this panel people whose organizations have really been dedicated to making sure that Africa stays into this compute and AI race. So I thought to myself, why don't we just ask them? So that's what we are going to try to do over the next 40 minutes or so. I'll ask them about what they're building, the type of demand that they see, any kind of constraints on the supply side or otherwise. And then we'll close by getting their perspective on kind of what the near-term future may look like. So I don't know if we have the technical team can tell me whether we have Shah, out of Nairobi, as part of this, just to welcome him and kind of get things started here. But in the meantime, while we're working that out, perhaps what I'll do is I'll ask each one of the panelists to introduce themselves and perhaps just take a minute or two to talk about kind of what they're building, and then a quick word on one type of opportunity they see and one top constraint that they are facing. And hopefully that will get us going. I'll start with Johnson, and then we'll go from here to the end. Please, Johnson.
Hello, Guy. Thank you so much. And thank you, the audience, and my fellow panelists. Johnson Agobor, I'm the founder and CEO of Kasi Cloud Data Centers. We build and operate hyperscale data center facilities, starting here in Lagos, but our aim is to serve Africa. What does that really mean? We are currently developing a 100-megawatt campus here in Lekki, probably about 10 minutes drive on Coastal Road. And our first building will be 32 megawatts. It will open next quarter. And the big opportunity for me, looking at Lagos, looking at Nigeria, looking at West Africa, is us. 230 million people to 500 million people. That is the giant opportunity. It doesn't exist in most places in the world. So it requires cloud. We're going to leapfrog to AI. And it will require all of us to do that. A constraint, of course, the usual power, But I actually tend to highlight the human capital scarcity as probably the most detrimental over time. We will solve power. We will solve connectivity. But can we train up enough? Can we retain them here? And can we employ them reasonably well to build for this continent? Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Johnson.
Good morning. My name is Roger. I work with MTN. For the past 25 years, we've enabled Nigeria with a modern connected life, enabling communication across the country and across the continent, where we currently operate in 16 different countries across Africa. From early 20s, when MTN took a bit of a divergence and started looking at digital infrastructure, we've been hosting co-location partners in our facilities in Lagos since 2012. And we've started to drive the digital infrastructure in the recent years. Earlier this year, we launched our new flagship data center out in Ikeja. And we have plans to bring in some AI data centers through our Baobab company as we start to bring in some European and American investors. And I too, like Mr. Cassie Cloud, Mr. Johnson, have a big concern about retaining our digital capabilities and our digital skills in the country. For me, an interesting word, Japa, is a concern. I am actually one of those. I grew up in South Africa and I decided to leave. They call it the brain drain. I've never returned back to my home country. I've been to about 10 different countries I've worked in for MTN across the globe and haven't returned. It's a big concern that as we train people up and as we skill people up, how do we enable them to stay in the country, to support the businesses, to provide the digital sovereignty that we require in our countries in order to enhance our businesses and increase our GDP.
Very good, thank you. Amir, please.
Yeah, well, yeah, I will spell it in Arabic. Karim Ma'amir. So just to let you know that I'm coming from far in the north, so from Morocco. I just landed this morning, so long story short. So happy to be here. It's not the first time, at least in Lagos. This is my third time in 3 months. So I'm visiting Nigeria each month, or at least I'm trying to be here. I'm from Nokia. Nokia, it's not data center builders, but we are helping those. We are helping MTN, we are helping you as well to build those data centers. So we are known as end-to-end vendors for telecommunications. So helping, if you recall, Nokia was saying connecting the people. So we still connect people. We have solutions inside and outside data centers. So what we are trying to do is to help you to have secured and automated data center, because it's good to have our own data still stored in the country, but you need to make sure that it's stored and secured. And we have capabilities and solutions that can help you to do so. I'm talking about quantum safe, for example. So we have these capabilities to interconnect 2 data centers, either using IP or WDM technology at quantum safe security. And we have as well solutions to automate the data center itself inside your data center. You are talking about a journey to 2.5 gigawatts. I see it more than that, to be honest. We made some study as a vendor, and of course, regulations has some impacts. That's why we see mainly a boom of the data centers in South Africa. Then we have Angola, Kenya, Nigeria. We are seeing as well in North Africa, Egypt, and Morocco. But our projection is that the North Africa will catch up in 2030. We will most probably multiply by 3 the capacity that we have today, which is around 1.6 or 1.5 gigawatt that we see in Africa. We are working closely with many of the government, because the drivers or the needs to come from the governments itself in order to make sure that we are keeping our data in Africa. As you can see, the connectivity is still is here. Now, at least for the submarine cables, we need to make sure that the connectivity, we are connecting the people, and this is where, for example, MTN, Airtel, and those CSPs will play a crucial it will be crucial for them to connect people. So happy to be here again.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Abba. And I think on the phone we have Shahar Shah, who is the CEO of IX Africa in Kenya. I can see he's in the car. Can you hear us, Shahar? It's good to have you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And sorry I couldn't be with you guys in Lagos, but hello from East Africa. So yeah, I run IX Africa based here in Nairobi. We're the last entrant in the market, but we have chosen to go big scale. So we're currently building a 22.5 megawatt, our first facility, of which the first 5 megawatts is already live. We've already secured our second site, and actually I'm en route to go and visit a potential third site as well. So we are 70% owned by Helios Private Equity, which are Nigerians. And we have a Pan-African outlook. So our other investment is actually Morocco Data Center in Morocco. And a couple of weeks ago, we announced to acquire the assets from Telecom Egypt, where we will have the largest data center in Egypt as well. So yeah, after South Africa, which is quite advanced, obviously we see Nigeria and Kenya being the next frontiers. And already in Kenya, there is 2 hyperscalers who have publicly announced to come into this market. The first one being Oracle, and the second one being Microsoft. And we've taken the leap of faith to build the large infrastructure in the conviction that the hyperscalers will come. And we are convinced that it's not a matter of if, but when they come. And in terms of the opportunity that we're currently seeing, even before the hyperscalers are coming, is in AI. In fact, we were already installing one of the AI providers, so doing GPU as a service, and they're putting in racks based on air cooling. They're doing as much as 30 kilowatts per rack. And we're beginning to see end user demand for that, from banks, financial institutions, research, to use this infrastructure to do the AI compute. So that's a great opportunity that we're seeing. I heard our other colleagues talked about the constraints of talent, sort of talent flight out of Africa, but we're actually seeing the opposite here in Kenya. In fact, I'm a living example of that because I was living outside in the UK, having been born in Kenya, but last 10 years I've chosen to come back and be part of the growing tech evolution here. Nairobi is nicknamed the Silicon Savannah. We are attracting billions of dollars of VC and PE funding, and we're seeing so Nairobi is even a hub. So for example, Nairobi is the second largest office for the United Nations outside New York, and we're seeing a growth of those institutions here. We're seeing a lot of foreign talent now come into this market as well. So that's another opportunity that we're seeing and making our country as a BPO destination. The constraint that we're seeing is we are in East Africa. We're a hub for the region, which is access to 300 million population. But what we're really hoping is for the government to fast track the data sharing regulations under the East African community, because once that happens, then our neighboring countries can also use our infrastructure. So that's one constraint that we hope can be fast tracked. And it's really good to be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shah. So quite good perspective to get from Kenya. Bring things back, perhaps, to Nigeria. And I want to start this discussion. Let's talk a little bit about demand. demand first, because all the capacity numbers and all of that we talked about are only relevant to the extent that the services and applications are going to be used on the ground by enterprises and consumers. So I just want to get a bit of perspective from you in terms of in the Nigerian context in particular, and perhaps kind of West Africa broadly, kind of what you're currently seeing and hearing from customers. I mean, you all spend a lot of time kind of talking to enterprise customers, and I want to focus on non-hyperscalers for now. We'll talk about hyperscalers later, but really just kind of enterprise migration to kind of cloud services, adoption of AI, and those types of things. Where is your sense of where that is in Nigeria right now? Are we still extremely early stages of cloud adoption? Is it kind of a mid-level going towards maturity market as far as those types of migrations are concerned? And how does that inform how you're thinking about deploying your infrastructure? Any comments or two you can make on that, Johnson?
Indeed. Thank you, Guy. For the enterprises, Bill Clayman actually referred to Africa as still, toying with combustion engine in the days of oil discovery. I will liken it to what I do, which is digital. I think we're still using dial-up when broadband is available. When it comes to enterprises on their journey to digital transformation, we are quite early. A lot of our enterprises have their cloud infrastructure abroad, right? It's a bit expensive to operate abroad, right? So they're going to migrate it back closer to the shores of Africa. The second thing that's really important when it comes to enterprises is that most of them will leapfrog. Those that will win, you've seen what the fintech have done, right? The fintech providers, they are cloud natives. They are not just digital, they are cloud natives. And I think that's the shift, right? The second thing that's also surprising for most of us is the early appearance of GPUs. These are floating point things that allow us to do what we call AI. Why? There's greater adoption of AI and AI-related ecosystem than you think in the continent. And I will cite an example. Myself as an enterprise consuming it. This is my team, right? We're building a 132 kV substation. It's almost done. We're doing jointing and termination of these huge cables. And we brought in an expert, but that expert doesn't speak English. Knows how to say hello and goodbye. So what did my team do? Well, we had interpreters, but they turned to ChatGPT. Conversational. And believe you me, worked better than a human, right? It's not, you don't replace that human. You need that human factor embedded in it. But it solved a problem for us because we can talk tech. Fairly deep tech conversation. So I think the enterprise consumption of digital will not just be for email and productivity, the basic productivity tools. I think it's very quickly extending to AI and AI-related platforms to power enterprises here.
Excellent. Roger, what's along the same lines, what's your perspective on where we are in this journey, which is a journey towards the cloud in many ways? And how does that inform kind of how you think about deploying infrastructure to accelerate the journey, so to speak?
MTN launched the Debengo data center on 1st of July this year. Today, it's fully occupied on the components that we've already opened. The need for resources in country far exceeds what we've already put down. And there's not the who's going to win. The pie is growing every single day. Every single one of us, as we grow and invest in our own businesses and build our own data centers and build our own digital infrastructure, that is going to be consumed quicker than we can plan. What is that saying? Build it and they will come. At the same time, we launched our own CSP, MTN Cloud, and the capacity on that and the uptake on that has been significant that we've had to expand to a new site with regards to that platform. The government's policy on digital and sovereignty within all the countries across the world are ensuring that data sovereignty is key for them. Building in Kenya and Nigeria is easy. The next steps and the next questions are going to be asked is how do we do this for Benin and Cote d'Ivoire and all the other countries who are also going to be going through the same bits of challenges. It's easy for us to build in Lagos or in Nigeria where we know that within a 6-month period we'll consume our available capacity. So there's opportunity for all of us. There's opportunity for investors. From our stories, earlier this year, on our 17 AI use cases that we use within MTN for improving customers' lives, improving revenue streams, and improving speed of execution, we've now migrated those workloads out of the EU into our own data centers. And that's been a tremendous challenge for us because we built these data centers before, or we designed these data centers before AI. And so now we're already having to go into legs of those original plans need to be updated to ensure that these rack capacities and the intensity that's required for the power is being able to provide to that. On announcing our data center in July, we immediately got an influx of requests. And those requests came in the form of blocks of 1 megawatt, or we want 3 racks that can take 100 kilowatts each, or if you can't do that, we'll take 8 racks with 50 kilowatts each. And that, you know, we got to make sure that I agree with Karim, that 2.5 gigawatts is going to be achieved very quickly. In a report that I read earlier this year, it reported that in 2024, between $600 to $850 million was spent on cloud usage for Nigeria. That was projected to reach 1 billion in 2025, and that is expected to reach 3.3 billion by 2030. Now, those projections are on the uptake of usage. That doesn't include the requirements from governments with regards to sovereign data, sovereign digital infrastructure. So there is a large opportunity for all of us to benefit from, and for us to ensure that we can get digital infrastructure in the ground so that we can enable our local businesses to grow.
Excellent, thank you. Roger, Amer, how do you, first, do you see that type of increased usage, demand for cloud service percolate into the demand for your product? And how do you kind of scale up the products that you have to meet that kind of increased demand for cloud services, AI, and those types of new services and applications?
Let's take a step back. I can't remember how I used to operate pre-November 2022.
Yeah.
That 30th of November 2022, when we first all got access to this little chat engine, and how we've taken that to APIs and MCPs and bringing all this thing in. It's the learning journey has shortened.
Yeah.
It doesn't take me 18 months to get a process going again. It takes me an evening.
Yeah.
And a beer.
Yeah.
And I've built my MVP. Now, where must I deploy it? I don't have the infrastructure to deploy it. So when usually I had 18 months to roll this program out, roll this design out, and the infrastructure would be in there in place.
Yeah.
Now I've got to. Now all of this happens over a weekend.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure needs to be ready. So there's challenges on that side. For us, we've put down 4 key platforms to allow our engineers and our developers to get going immediately.
Yeah.
On MVPs and initial market tests. And then as we agree on some of the solutions that we want to continue with, those then need more structured infrastructure to run. And so then we're having to put down infrastructure before we know what we're going to use it for, and we consume that within a quarter.
Yeah, no, I mean, and not to get into that constraints discussion, but would you say we are held back by capacity and infrastructure still, meaning to build scale to kind of keep up with that demand that you're seeing, or no? Do we have enough capacity?
We don't have enough
meet?
capacity at
Okay.
all. I know that there are companies who are wanting to put down 150, 200, 250 racks, and they're looking for co-location partners to do this with,
Yeah.
and none of us are ready yet.
Yeah.
And that's the game we got to play. And it's not just, okay, am I going to lose the business? Is Cassie going to get the business? It doesn't matter. Whoever's ready first is going to consume. When you're ready, it's going to be consumed.
Yeah. Johnson, you wanted to say something? Then Amer.
No, he's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think we are suffering from capacity supply as an industry. And we're also suffering from maturing the supply ecosystem. As you know, when enterprises deploy, they always want a backup. When hyperscale operators deploy, they always want availability zones. And they tend to triplicate those availability zones.
Yeah.
Compounded with the technicalities of supplying exact, supplying to the SLA and to the requirements, right? That's the service level agreements, SLA. So these are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So if you don't plan ahead of time on the overall capacity you're going to supply, you will eventually be constrained. It doesn't mean you deploy all of them day one.
Yeah.
The key word I heard was velocity.
Yeah.
I'll hand over to Karim.
Amer, what do you see? on this?
The connectivity itself, it depends on, because what we see as a vendor, so we are not deploying, as I said, it depends on the country and where we are, and depend crucially in the regulation. So the regulation here in West Africa, mainly in Nigeria, are different, completely different from the regulation in North Africa. So let's say, or in South Africa. So if you want to consume more your data center that you build, you need to make sure that the regulation are enough open to give you the possibility to have multiple interconnection to your data center, that allow your and subscribers connect and consume your data center. Some of the countries, this is somehow already done, which is the case, as I said, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, somehow. North Africa, they are still lacking and they are still behind. Part of the program of those countries in North Africa, we start to see plans for digital 2030, the one that was launched by Morocco nearly, just shortly last year. Part of this program is to change the regulation or to adapt the regulations to make sure that when we are building data centers, mainly for artificial intelligence, we will have these regulations to make sure that this will be consumed. We will not rely only on 1 or 2 or 3 CSPs locally. So this should be open in order to allow not only the consumers to connect and to consume the data center, but as well to the data center providers and hyperscalers to come and invest. And this is what we see as a vendor. But this is what I was saying, this is something I think we will have a shift and a change, and those guys in North Africa will catch up. This is what we see most probably in 2030. So instead of having 46% of, let's say, the data centers sitting in South Africa, we will see probably 25 to 24 in Egypt and another 15% in Morocco, while Nigeria will be below, slightly below, which will be a range of 9%. South Africa will remain at the, let's say 15%, but let's say 20%, sorry. But our projection is that Egypt will catch up and will be in terms of number of data center in 2030. We see Egypt growing very fast, and we will see them being number one in 2030. And if you see as well the map itself and the connectivity and the geostrategic of the country itself, and they are interconnecting continent, so Asia, Europe, and Africa. So geographically, they are well positioned to attract a lot of investment from hyperscalers. Same for, I would say, for Morocco. We are still weak because I'm Moroccan, you understand? We are still lacking, let's say, the submarine cable landing. So, for example, to Africa, we don't have any landing today in Morocco. Okay, we have Medusa with 100 of tera of capacity. So this will bring another capacity that we can use it in order to get to sell those capacity of GPU, because I think building data centers, we need, I think you say it, or Johnson said it, or it was the person from Kenya said, the country, we can build data centers on Kenya or Nigeria, but we need to open as well the borders to make sure that the countries, the other countries and subscribers can connect and consume the data center, because at certain time, what we will build will be more than enough for the use of the country itself, where the others in the border, the other countries, for lack of energy or power, they will not be able to build those data centers. So in order to make sure that what we are building in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Morocco, and in Egypt will be consumed, we need as well to collaborate and open the borders and have a specific law to interconnect those countries and consume this data.
Excellent. Thank you, Emma. We only have 6 minutes. I have a ton more questions, but I kind of want to take the opportunity to see if anybody in the audience has a question or two for this panel. If you do, please raise your hand, and let's keep them short in the interest of time. No? Going once, going twice. Okay, fine. I do have questions. I mean, I wanted to get a bit of your perspective on, we cannot have a discussion around data center, cloud, and so on without talking about power, obviously. I kind of want to get your sense of how you look at power in the Nigerian context in particular, and perhaps kind of West Africa, kind of broadly. Is power scarce? Is there a scarcity of utility scale power in a manner that forces you as a developer of data center infrastructure to think innovatively in terms of how you supply the type of power that you're going to need to build at scale? So is it scarce, or is it that it is abundant and you just kind of need to figure out the way to kind of plug into the abundance of power that exists? I don't know if you have any particular perspective on this.
Since I'm building at such a large scale, let me take a first go at it. I think power in Nigeria is not scarce. Obtaining the right capacity at the right quality along with availability are really the critical elements, right? Whether it's utility power or self-generated power. For most of us that operate at scale, we do both. And I'll give you an example. We put a mark that our campus, which is over 4 hectares in size, in a very dense urban area, will go up to 100 megawatts. So what's the first thing you will solve? And this is critical load, not overall power, right? You have to make sure that you can get that amount of power to that land. So how do you do that? You build a very large substation. So we are completing 132 kV substation with 60 megawatt transformer to go from 132 to 33, which we distribute to every data center floor that we have. That is scale. That's number one. What does that mean? It means you can tap into the spinal cord of power distribution in Nigeria and feed it directly into that campus. So you go from 33 kV to 132 straight into your campus. And that's step number one. Number two, you have to generate equal amount of power to back up that particular power. And that's problematic at scale. Do you do it with diesel? Do you do it with natural gas? Do you do it with solar? Or all of the above? What's the structure in doing it? Right? Those are the complexities. There's one issue, which is overall power regulation. When we started CASI, power was regulated for eligibility at 2 megawatts. Last year, that flipped to 20 megawatts. That's an order of magnitude, which means if I'm going to tap that spinal cord, my quantum of power now must be much, much higher, an order of magnitude, right? So it's a problem we have to solve, right? And you work hand in hand with the regulators to get it done. So in a nutshell, I don't think supply of power, at the capacity required is as much a problem. You have distribution elements to it. You have the ability to generate enough to back it up, right? And then you have a bit of a regulatory that needs to be sorted, especially in Nigeria.
Excellent. How do you, he laid out sort of the complexities there. I'm tempted to ask you, Roger, how do you do it on the power side?
I'm 100% aligned here. But I think it's the transport of the power more than the power generation that's a challenge. Let me tell a story about our data center that has carried us for the last 20 years. 7 years ago, we moved that from, at the time, NEPA, to IPP, so natural gas. We now run our local generators just to run them for tests while we're doing maintenance. 98.7% of the time we're running on natural gas on those data centers. There is many ways to solve the power challenge. It's not a problem, it's just a challenge. And I think the key one is some policy. If we build large substations and we are able to resell that back to the local governments, that needs to be enabled clearly. If we are, and that allows us to invest larger now to cater for what needs to come in the future. So some policy and regulatory updates and transport. So 100% aligned with Johnson.
Excellent. Thank you. I see the big red sign saying that our time is up, which I cannot believe. I mean, it's been... Yes, go ahead, Amir. We have a final point.
Yeah, I just have a comment. So, of course, I'm not supplying energy and I'm not building, but what is amazing is that Nigeria has this challenge, of course, of powering the data center itself. You will be surprised that OpenAI in the US, they have the same challenge. Of course, the capacity it's completely different. So we are talking about the last announcement with NVIDIA was 10 gigawatts. So they want to build 10 gigawatts. And those OpenAI, what they are starting to think about is they are investing in nuclear. So they want to find a solution for their own electricity. So they need to be to power or to find another alternative to gas or to green. And what is happening is that I think we need to be, as a builder of data centers, we need to come with innovation. So on top of using generators, gas, maybe we need to find alternative, green. It's one of the solutions that we start to see in general in Africa. Morocco are investing a lot in green. They did a lot of announcement. If you saw in the newspaper for 500 megawatt 100% powered by green power. And this is something that we need to look at. And I agree with you. We cannot rely on the local power grid. This is for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. I would say that fitting conclusion to what we've discussed to this panel. So I'd like you to please give a hand of applause to the panel. And thank you so much for your attention. Please stay for the remaining panels. And